What's shaking, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Cure, and we're returning to the top, 1984, which again is a remastered deluxe edition with a second folder, so shout out once again to Phil for providing the goods for this Cure journey, even if for the time being we're just sticking to the proper albums, which makes sense given how many studio albums they have. But the next track is Dressing Up, which, you know, normally I would just think about that in a general sense, the idea of dressing up meaning to get into A, costume, or B, finer duds, if you will. In one sense, dressing up can mean whether it's for something like Halloween, or for a play, or for some role play type of dynamic, whether that's just a costume party. But yes, wearing clothes or fittings which are not normally part of your ensemble or your wardrobe, and thus getting into character, whether that's more literally, again, for some production, or just to vicariously inhabit a type of person or a type of style that you don't normally. But also, I did a reaction to, I think it was a music video for Depeche Mode, and Martin was in clothes that I guess would be more typically considered women's type clothes. And a friend of the channel, Nina, commented that, yes, at this time Martin was very fond of dressing up. So in that regard, it seems a more narrow or specific understanding of the phrase dressing up, meaning going outside your own identity, or at least what might be perceived as your own identity from external perceptions, to, again, inhabit a type of persona or a type of personality or identity that is not necessarily not part of your own, meaning it could be the idea of living out what you've always wanted to, but you, for social, cultural, or, you know, psychological reasons, don't do it often. But again, it seemed, I had never heard that phrase used in that way, and it struck me as like, oh, like dressing up as I understand it, but extrapolated to a very specific dynamic that could relate to, again, cultural attitudes and, you know, personal experience that is more narrow than just, again, putting on a costume in a more general sense, or putting on a type of style and clothes in a more general sense. So I've already talked too long. Let's listen to the track. This is The Cure. The tune is Dressing Up, and it's from their 1984 album, The Top. remarkable little tune. I'm going to try to keep everything I had in mind there. I will say, before I started, I forgot to get around to the other side of the more general understanding of dressing up, meaning wearing fancier or more expensive clothes for a given situation, whether that be a Tony type of party or to convey that you have more affluence or stylistic sense than maybe you do normally, or maybe you do in practice or in reality. But okay, so sonically, it was a very rich and lustrous, almost dreamy type of tune. I don't know whether that was a pan-flute, which is what it sounded like. I suppose it could be like a pipe organ, but yeah, I feel like that flute type sound gave it a really, reality plus type of feel to it. Of course, the main feature is Robert's remarkable vocals, which are very visceral, emotional, but a bit outside the lines, meaning not normal. They felt very like he's going through some physical or psycho-emotional experience as he's singing, and it's a bit beyond the normal melodic range you might expect. He's doing these extensions, like very languid extensions with these very surprising flourishes at the end, both down low and up top. But that's contrasted with the dressing up, like more quick and pointed backing vocals. So there's a bit of vocal contrast over the course of the track. I don't actually know what's happening lyrically, in part because I was so struck by the sonics and the vocals in particular. So I don't know if it is about putting on a persona or a style that is not truly reflective of your normal character, or whether it's about trying to dress up socioeconomically for a given situation. But it sounds like he's going through it emotionally, and there's maybe some tension or stress, or perhaps in another interpretation, a euphoric type of release that's happening in the situation, whatever that might be. So yeah, ultimately the end of the song was very sudden and unexpected, so a bit of a surprise there. But yes, ultimately a crazy little tune, not light and jaunty like something like Love Cats, but not heavy and deep and brooding like some of their tunes, including a couple on this album so far. So yeah, a real, in some ways, outlier, or at least an exceptional track that doesn't seem to fit into either of the, let's say, major categories, and that would already be like three, that early post-punk, a bit raw type of sound, then going into this heavy, deep, and almost psychedelic type of sound, and then in the last little while, the Japanese Whispers single compilation, and at least one or two moments on this album, The Top, into a lighter, more catchy type of pop vein. So this one didn't seem to fit into any of those. It was just a really interesting tune sonically and vocally, even before I get a better understanding of the lyrics. So yeah, a really crazy one. Robert's vocals most front and center, but I did enjoy that. Again, I think like pan-flute, even if it's like a keyboard kit in that style, though again, it could be like a woodwind style organ. But yes, just a really remarkable one. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.